What? What's going on, guys? This is Gene Jensen. It's time for another Friday Night Live. What is up? What is up? Somebody already waiting. That's awesome. It's awesome. Thanks for the thumbs up. What is going on? Goodness, it is hot. It was a miserable week on Guntersville. The fish wanted to bite early in the morning and late at night. So, anyway, we're going to let everybody jump on here real quick, let everybody get their notifications, and then we're going to knock this thing out. We'll spend about an hour doing it. So, Joshua, hello, man. How you doing? You could have left out that W, though, but that's okay. I suck at spelling, so it's not really my place to critique people's spelling. I just try to read it. Motorcycle Mayhem, what's going on, man? Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right, cool. Oh, what's going on, Country Bread? Yeah, I suck at spelling. I always have. It's hereditary. My dad was really bad at it. I remember when computers first started getting spell check. My dad was happy, beyond happy. He's like, I can spell finally. Yeah, that was in the 80s, dude. Goodness gracious, I'm old. It's gonna take about another 20 seconds before people just start jumping on here. Dave, what's going on, man? How are you? Use Grammarly for my spelling all the time. See, you can't cheat. Don't be cheating on your spelling or you'll really suck. You know what? I got really good at it through being involved with the forums, the online forums back in early 2000s, mid 2000s, and I got really good at spelling after that. A lot better than I had been. I still suck at it, but it was a lot better. So, catching 43 bluegill an hour, screw bass fishing. You know what? When I go perch jerking, I could care less about bass fishing. I grab a tube of crickets and I go whack them, man. When I took my boys out and my father-in-law, we caught 60 while they were on the bed. And having a side scan is cheating. You go scan deep for those deep beds and you can actually count the bluegill that are on there. So, man, what's up, Jose? Adam, what's going on, man? I have not made it to Cali yet. Just waiting on. We have a weird year. I just realized my son left a gallon of milk down here. That's gross. I'll put it in the fridge. But anyway, I got a beer fridge. I don't drink beer. I got a water fridge right there. But no, I haven't made it to California yet. I really want to. It's just the funds just aren't there yet. We're still working on a few things. I've got a lot of stuff I got to do around here that is going to cost a ton of money, and so we're kind of really skimping and trying to save as much as we can. I got to build a shop or a shed to put my boat in. Is what I've got to do, and it's going to run us about $5,000, probably more. No, between $5,000 and $10,000, just for a basic shop. So, or not shop, but a little carport. So, Mark, Hector, what's going on, man? What's my favorite bass fishing stuff to use? I tend to go towards worms, and I really have been having a lot of good luck on like pink colored worms, like plum and tequila sunrise are the two that I always make sure I have on my boat. So, Christopher, Nick, what's going on, man? Nick, I wish I could pronounce your name. I'm going to look it up one day. Hop along, Johnny. Come to North Carolina and do a video. It's still a little too warm. Actually, this next week I'll be back on Guntersville. Kind of the reason why you guys are going to see a lot of videos from Guntersville is I'm trying to get to know that lake really good. I've got the Kayak Bass Fishing National Championship that I qualified for, and it's happening next March. And I just kind of want to get to know the lake better so I can make decisions better when it comes that time. Because I sure could use that $75,000 that the winner's going to get. So I'm going to put a lot of time and effort into it. I mean, I'm not really focused much on the tournament yet, just kind of getting to know the lake. I won't focus on pre-fishing for the tournament until probably a week and a half before. So Mason's going on Old Hickory tomorrow. That's awesome. I haven't fished Old Hickory since several springs ago. But the following week, I'm going to Minnesota, and I got business stuff the first week, and then the second week, I'm not sure where I'm going to end up. I know I'm going to probably go fishing somewhere, taking my boat anyway. So, hey Hunter, hey Casey. Team Jesus Outdoors, what's going on? Or Team Jesus Outdoors, I'm sorry, either one. I don't know if you're Spanish or not. Is my sound a bit low? See, there's nothing I can do about that. It's funny, I've got a microphone. Here's my microphone right here. I don't know if you guys can see it. So, and I plugged it in. I really think it's YouTube that some people's stuff is really low and some people's is just fine. Trying a new microphone right now, so if the sound is bad, just let me know. Casey Gray, $50. What is going on, man? Holy cow, you're awesome, man. That's got to be one of the top donations. Oh, says, look, man, I simply love what you do. You're genuinely a great dude. I've donated a few times, but thought I'd help out as much as I can. Oh my gosh, that's great, dude. Blown away, absolutely blown away. I really, really, really appreciate it. So, but yeah, let me know about my audio. I'm gonna tap the mic a little bit, but I'm trying new stuff. It's so hard. Like when I was out on the lake trying to do one at Gunnersville the other day, the sound was going in and out, and it wasn't me, it was YouTube. So, hey Gene, is shaky head better than drop shot? If the bass are on, I'll give you for instance. Years ago, I was on Gunnersville catching spotted bass, and we were catching them on a drop shot. And all of a sudden, the bite kind of died. And I looked down at my fish finder, and I noticed all the fish had settled down to the bottom. So I grabbed a shaky head, and I started catching them again. So if they're a little bit up off the bottom, they'll want a drop shot. If they're sitting on the bottom, they're more likely to want a shaky head. So it's kind of a for instance. Big red bass. Yeah, Gene, we got to get you out of those rest stops. Dude, I don't mind sleeping in rest stops. I really don't. I got the hookup, man. It's a mattress that blows. It's an air mattress that blows up into the back seat of my truck, and it fills up the whole back seat. I got to sleep in the fetal position, but it ain't too bad. I just leave the truck running and the air conditioning on. So, is that in murky water or clear water? It's probably clear. So, I'm in North Mississippi, and the water is over chocolate milk, and I can't figure them out. When you coming to help a vet out so I can put the kids on fish? So when it's really, really muddy, bass or fish in general, mainly predatory fish, go really shallow. They go super, super shallow, and they get as tight to cover as they can get. I think I got a sparkle on my head or something. Anyway, think of it like this. A bass is comfortable in muddy, muddy water, even if his eye is covered up with a stick. He's got to see something. So he's going to be real tight to cover, and you make multiple casts with something dark or something bright, and multiple casts to the same spot, and you'll hammer them home. So it just takes, you look for shallow cover. I've got a video I made 2 years ago. It's a really good muddy water video. Covers all of that. Jose, here's some casters and hooks. Can never have enough of them. I got a wall of them, but I got to replace them. There's, I got to get some of those new Gamakatsu ones that just came out. I got to go checking. I got to get on Game of Kings. See you, Josh, man. Take it easy. Austin Napier, what would you use in a pond right now? And which is better, a Concept A or C? And is the price difference really worth it? The price difference is worth it because the components in the C are more expensive than the components in the A. It's the same type of components, but you got better quality bearings. You got better quality guts in a C, and the C is also lighter. It's slightly lighter. So for me, to be honest with you, I kind of like the A because it's a lot. To me, it just feels, I don't know, it's just comfortable. I don't like white reels, to be honest with you, but I mean, to each their own. But yeah, the price difference is the difference in cost of components, and that's why you have the difference, the two different reels. Alex is going to be fishing in Maine 2 days next week. Any tips? From what I understand, you're going to fish it kind of like you would Florida in the late spring, and so when your water in Florida in the wintertime. The water temperature should be in the 70s, nice and comfortable. There should be grass. Just look for the thick grass that's closest to the deep water, and you should be able to catch them. There'll also be rocky lakes too in Maine. So grass and rocks is what I've understood. So you know how to do it, man. Have I fished the St. Johns River? Not in a few years. I kayak fished it with Chad Hoover for a TV show, a filming of Kayak Bass Fishing TV, and it wasn't that good. It was pretty tough. but it was a fall. It was in the fall, and it was just a bad weather conditions. So Gunnersville can be tough. Good luck, man. I've got fish on Gunnersville. I can go catch them. I just have to catch them really early in the morning, or they just don't bite. Or when there's current. That's the biggest thing right now is there's not a whole lot of current being pushed through the Tennessee River. And so when we get a good strong rain and they start pushing current again, the bite will pick back up. So MME High says, hey, I always fish worms on medium spinning rod. I bought a baitcaster and trying to fish spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and jigs. It's medium heavy, but it feels like I'm reeling a fish, but it's just a lure. Yeah, the spinnerbaits, crap, I just hit the wrong button. Why is that not working? The spinnerbaits are have more drag than probably what you're used to, and so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But my phone just buzzed. All right, I've got a local pond. It has a ton of grass in it, and in it that comes with my lure every time I reel it in. Any tips? Fishing Mojo rig. I just hit something I wasn't supposed to. Give me a second, guys. Okay, for some reason, there we go. Wasn't not able to scroll. Best spinning reel for less than $100. Best one I've used for less than $100 is the Origin C. Anyway, Scott, yeah, I got it, man. I'm way ahead of you. Too many things going on, and my iPad is not working right now for some reason. I can't scroll very easily. Anyway, any recommendations on fishing deeper crankbaits without a fish finder? The best thing I can tell you to do is I can't do it without a fish finder because I get hung up in everything. The best thing to do is use a map and fish points is what I would do, but I really refuse to fish them without a fish finder. So all right. So real quick, Scott Butcher, my manager, has reminded me, and I've got him in my wallet, and I had already planned on doing this towards the end, but I'll do it right now. Go to the No. I'm back. That was so jacked up. All right. I'll let you guys jump back on. Give me just a second. Y'all are ruthless. Straight up ruthless. All right, so what happened was I'm updating my phone over here, got a new update on it, and for some reason it affected my iPad. So, such is life. I had a feeling that something stupid might happen. So anyway, let me let you guys jump on here. We still got enough. So Noe Outdoors is called. Go to their Facebook page. It's NOE. You can find this NOE Outdoors Expo. You go to their Facebook page and you like their Facebook page and put a comment somewhere on there that just says Flukemastr sent me or whatever. But we're giving away 2 VIP tickets this weekend. They're going to pick the winner, and I'm just going to contact you on Facebook. But this is happening in Cartersville, Georgia, which is right down the road from my house, about 40 minutes away. And September the 20th through the 22nd is the Outdoor Expo. And on that Sunday, I think it's the 21st or the 22nd, I will be there, and I'll be doing seminars that day, and basically I'm the headliner for the show. And so it's going to be hunting, fishing, camping, outdoors. It's just going to be a really, really nice show. It's the first year, so I really want to support them as much as I can. It's a show that's really close to my house, and so I'm putting a lot of work into to make sure that they make this successful because I want to see it again and again. So Noe Outdoors. NOE Outdoors. Go to their Facebook page, like it, and leave a comment, and we'll knock that out. So, all right. Sorry about the technical difficulties. How's the microphone though? Is it working pretty good for most of you guys? That'd be awesome to know. Any recommendations on fishing deeper crankbaits? That's the one I was on. I have a hard time without a fish finder. I really do, just because it's to be really successful with crankbaits, you've got to know what's under the water. Am I coming down to Texas again in the next year? I might be. I need to come down in the fall probably. There's a very, very famous football player that lives in Texas that wants me to go fishing with him, and I am such a fanboy of his. I'm definitely going to do it. So I'll be in Texas eventually. So let's see. Flute, what should I throw on vertical cliffs and rocky bottoms with vegetation? I live in Arizona. Vertical cliffs are fun. I love to throw a Texas rig creature bait, like a rage bug or something like that, something that's got some kick to it, and just keep it as close as I can to that vertical walls as as much as I can. The bass will like to sit on shelves that are down under the water. You'll have just a little outcropping or a little shelf that comes off the rock, and they'll sit right on top of there. So I try to drag it real slow that it fall down to the next shelf and just work my way down. As for grass on the bottom, a drop shot. It all depends on the depth of the grass, but it reminds me of fishing, you know, in those super clear quarry lakes that have grass on the bottom. You just want to get your bait up above the grass and work it around. So that's my first thought pops into my head. Man, you guys got a lot of comments that just barely popped up. Jim Perry, that's what you get for listening to your manager. Would you ever do a tour around your country with your boat and truck and try to fish some of the best lakes in the country? I might do that, Harold, but to be honest with you, I've gotten so far away from doing my core instructional videos. I'm going to, when I travel, I'm literally not going to focus on the lake that I'm fishing or promoting or just showing off the lake. I'm going to focus on making my instructional videos wherever I'm at. Like I said, I'm going to be in Minnesota in a couple of weeks. I want to fish Mille Lacs. I want to fish Leech. I want to fish some of my favorite lakes in Minnesota. But I want to do instructional videos just like I've always done. They get more attention, to be honest with you, and I really think that I need to really focus on that for at least the next 6 months to a year to just take advantage of the excitement that's behind YouTube right now. So, why is 13 Fishing not selling your frog rod anymore? I have no clue. They have not told me about it, and I have not had an opportunity to ask them. So they thin. From what I know, with the new line of rods coming out, they usually thin down a line of rods, and they just have to pick and choose which ones they keep and which ones they take away. It's just business. It doesn't bother me much. I'll design another one. So Bending Tips and Ripping Lips says Noe is a great group of guys. Yes, they are. He puts on a tournament every Monday night on Altoona. He's done it for like 6 months without a break, which is crazy. So, what part of Georgia am I from? I grew up in Covington. I was stationed in Augusta, and now I live in Rome, Georgia. So, Mike's good. Got a good fishing tournament on Mississippi River. Any tips this time of year? I don't know. Paul, it just depends on what part of Mississippi River it is. Let me know, and if I see your comment, I will definitely talk to you a little bit more about it. Are you going to fish Weiss anytime soon? Wasn't planning on it. I'm going to be focused on Gunnersville while I'm home. What happened to the T-shirt club? It's still going on, but I haven't heard from them in about 9 months. So we're going to do something a little bit different here shortly. I got a new website that's launching in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to grow it from there. It's going to start off with just, basically just apparel and that kind of stuff, and then we're going to grow it up from there. So it's going to be fun. Do I always search for better water? Sometimes. I mean, if I'm not catching fish, yeah, I'm always searching for bait is what I'm always searching for. So hope that you had a great week, Flukemastr. Have you ever fished in Utah? I have. My last name's Jensen. I have 2 lines of my family that live in Utah, or they're from Utah. I've got a brother that lives in Cache Valley up in Logan. A lot of my nieces and nephews and aunts, uncles, cousins, and stuff like that live in there. So, and I grew up every few years going out there and trout fishing up in Logan River, and then we go up into Idaho and fish Henry's Fork and Yellowstone and all kinds of other stuff. That's what I grew up doing. So my dad's from Brigham City. Going to White Iron Lake end of this month should be awesome. Dude, I've never heard about that lake, but it's a cool name. Ron Nation says, I should get a boat, huh? A kayak will work too, dude. That's what I try to, that's why it's so critical for me personally to promote kayak fishing, is because I think it's an inexpensive way to get off the bank. And I really think it's one of those things where it's just your next progression. I spent 12 years bank fishing. At the end of 12 years, uh, I finally saved up enough money for a small boat. But before that, to get off the bank, I had to get a belly boat. There were no fishing kayaks, so I would sit there and pedal and flap my little fins all around the lake and fish it. So Casey, man, thanks for the $20. He says, feeling generous. If you get down to Florida sometime, I'd be awesome to go flip some grass with you, or we can stock some redfish, snook, and woo! These tarpon, you talking about fun? I usually get down to Florida in January, February, and fish. Man, that's usually my best time of the year, my favorite time of the year. Best beginner baits for retention pond fishing. Same thing as anything else. A bass is a bass is a bass wherever it is. If you want some beginner baits, Texas rig worm, a little spinner bait, a little shaky head or a little jig head that you put a worm on, that kind of stuff would be best. Go watch my beginner videos. I've got a whole playlist and it covers beginner baits that are just what I think people want to start with, because the baits that I list in that video are baits that will give you a foundation to go on to everything else that's in fishing. So, do you fish where muddy water and clear water mix, or just better water? I'll fish a lot of mud lines, especially in like late spring. In summer, I typically don't. I'm usually looking for current. Well, mud line usually is a lot of current, but I usually get away from the mud in the summer, and I'm looking for grass. So, oh, Chris, you said it's in Minnesota. That's cool, man. Yeah, I have to go look that up. There's so many lakes in Minnesota. You know as well as I do. I was on Mille Lacs last year, and the weather picked up, and it got really bad. And I just kind of moved off to one of those little lakes that are off the side of Mille Lacs and went fishing. You don't get to do that here in Georgia. In Georgia, small lakes are all private, so you don't get to just go hopping from lake to lake to lake. I love Minnesota, and a lot of other states are so much better than Georgia for access to water. But you can just hop over to a next lake, and it's just awesome. Harold, let's see. Harold just made I made a 44-minute video on a Carolina rig. I thought it was 24. Gosh, I hope it wasn't 44. That's long. I can talk, but I don't know if I can talk that long. I want to see more kayak educational videos. I know it sounds crazy, but kayak fishing too, to me, a lot different than from boat. I do both, LT. Let me tell you, my loyalty to Alumacraft is deep. When I had that old tan aluminum boat, it broke 36-inch crack down the keel because all the welds on the inside had popped. And I couldn't get Low Boats, who was responsible for the warranty, to warranty it. They refused to fix it. And so I told my wife, I said, look, we're going to have to go back in debt. We'd just gotten out of debt. I'm going to have to buy a new boat. And we're looking at $30,000 to $35,000 for a new boat just to keep YouTube going. And I wasn't making hardly any money on YouTube. 4 days later, Alumacraft contacted me on Facebook. 1 day later, they offered me a boat deal. And they saved my career in YouTube. And so I owe them a ton. I'll do kayak videos, but I've already told my kayak sponsors that they're not going to see me in a kayak for a couple of months, because I owe Alumacraft at least 2 months of just busting my butt in their boat. And I'm going to do it more often anyway. So, but I love kayak fishing. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm still doing it. I still got my kayaks on my trailer out there. And I got to share the time with Alumacraft because I owe them that. So, I'm just loyal to a fault, I guess. Oh, Ron Nation, thanks for the $5. So thanks a lot, Gene. Here's a little for the cause. How many days do you actually have bad fishing days and not catch anything? Me this morning. This week I fished Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Tuesday and Wednesday I caught one fish each day until Wednesday night, just before the sun went down. I caught 4 more. And then Thursday morning I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning, broke camp, and went fishing and caught a bunch in the morning. Finished a real quick video, did a live deal, and went home. So it's just the dog days of summer, man. It's just what it is. Daniel Weiss, what's your opinion on the fake chrome cranking rod? I've seen bad reviews, mainly about people breaking them. Thanks for all your help over the years. I have about 20 fake chromes, And I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I have broken two. One of them, what did I do that? One of them I slammed in the hatch of my boat. The lid fell down and broke it. The other one I hit. I was trying to get a lure unhung that had tungsten weight on there, and it came loose and hit square on the rod. The next cast it snapped. I have not broken a fake chrome because of bad quality rod. It's always been my fault. Their cranking rods are really good cranking rods. They're not the greatest. To be honest, the new Envies are the greatest, but they're expensive. The chromes are really good cranking rods. And so a lot of fractures and a lot of breakage is from misuse and from user error. And I'll say that across the line with anybody's rods. Not a lot of rods break because of bad, or because they're poorly made. But anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox about that. But it's the biggest thing is just take care of your rods. My bad habit is I'll grab a bunch of them together and I'll squeeze them and move them around and put them through doors, and I bend guides a lot. That's the worst thing I do. So, all right, let me get caught back up. Joseph Moon, raised in Athens, Georgia, stationed at Fort Bragg. If you're ever this way, bring the kayak and teach me how to fish Hope Mills Lake. I have not fished Hope Mills. I know a lot of SF guys that fish Hope Mills, though. Yeah, a lot of special operators out that way that fish. But man, if you're at Fort Bragg, dude, good for you. It's that's one of those places you get stationed and you get stuck, and it's funny. My brother-in-law was there forever, and if you leave, you end up coming back. It's just the way it is. So airborne. What do you do when you film fishing but didn't catch any? Do you upload anything or just trash can it? It all depends. What I typically will do is I'll have a list of videos that I can do where I don't need to catch a fish. So like boat videos are what I'm about to start doing. Fish finder videos, another one I'm working on. Still learning my new Raymarines. I love them. They're, oh my goodness, I'm falling in love with them every day. But just little quirky things. I don't want to look like a blumbering idiot when I start using fish finders on videos. I want to actually kind of look like I know what I'm doing, and so I'm giving it a little bit of time before I start doing those. But yeah, dude, they've been great to me. But the biggest thing is I just try to get some content out, and a lot of them are like that little fishing hack video that I did. The 2-minute tackle tip. You're gonna see a lot. You're gonna see one of those a week. I've got a whole bunch of them already in the till. Is South Saudi good this time of year on Gunnersville? That's where I've been catching all my fish. All the bulk of them. I caught a 5-pounder there on Thursday morning. Is the bull shad worth the money? I saw a guy catch a 22-inch shoal bass on the river last week with one. It must have been what's his name? But anyway, yes, it is. I've been around bull shad, and I'm very, very partial. I'll go ahead and tell you that I am as loyal to Mike Buca as a friend can be. I've known him since 2001. I helped him a little bit while he was learning how to make swim baits. I did a lot. I mean, I love the guy. He's been like I said, he's been a friend forever. And so for me to say that a bull shad sucks, he will never hear it come out of my mouth, because the dude, I saw how hard he worked on designing those things, and they flat catch them. Last month when I needed to catch, every fish needed to be over 20 inches, I was throwing a 9-inch bull shad, and I was catching giants. And so you just got to throw it. But you guys are awesome tonight, by the way. These are great questions. Best beginner kayak for someone that's unsure about purchasing it. Buy one you can afford, dude, really. I would kind of put if I had it to do all over again, I'd put a price limit on what's the cheapest one I'll buy. I won't buy one less than $500 right now, because the $400, $300, $200 ones are so daggum cheap. They scare me to death. I'll drown before I even get in it. It's just one of those things. They're just scary. Mainly, well, and I fish out of a $1,800 kayak that's super stable. But buy one that you can resell and maybe make $200 or $300 off of, and go and buy your next one. So $500 is about where I would put a limit on it. So Early AM topwater choice. Something with a lot. I like a buzzbait. So, hey Fluke, did you ever give away the fishing reels from 13 Fishing? I never gave them away. They did. Is what happened. Is what I do is I give them the name and the address and so on and so forth, and they mail them out. So yeah, that's all said and done. That was a fun little deal. Gina, want to shout out Chad Hoover. Glad that he's still with us after that accident. Yeah, dude, that was a pretty sick accident. So what? I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but I know a lady in a red car clipped his trailer, his camper, and it caused him and his Nissan and all of his kayaks and rods, and his wife was in the passenger seat, to roll 5 times. So yeah, his Nissan was toast. So yeah, he's lucky to have gotten out of there alive. Both of them were. Christy's still a little sore, from what I understand. So keep him in your prayers. Do you think the SS-127 handled the New River? I think the 120 or the 107 can. Sorry, I think the 107 can handle the New River. I think the 107 is a better river kayak. Just don't put the little flex wings on there. So Daniel, that's actually pretty good. Try out a Vibe. It's a great beginner kayak. Yes, it is. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, you stick around the kind of name branders that have or the name branders that have the $500 deals, so you can sell it to somebody else that's wanting to get in the kayak and then take that money and buy another one. So have you been trying a frog all summer and have yet? I've been trying a frog all summer and yet to get a bite. Me either, dude. Can catch them on a whopper plopper on the same pond. I have tried walking the frog and using a popping frog. Any suggestions? Dude, I haven't caught a fish on a frog this year. The best thing to do is to worry about a frog in the thickest conditions, the thickest cover. And then your whopper plopper, which you don't want to be anywhere around cover with that, that's probably the reason why it's working, is because it looks like a bait fish and it's not looking like a frog in cover. That's just me thinking off the top of my head. So Blaze Michael says, hey Gina, I've never been really into hard bait fishing, but I find there's a hole that needs to be filled in my tackle box. I'm gonna tell you how I did it, dude. Literally, and I don't know how many years ago this was. It was a long time ago, before YouTube. I decided that I wanted to get a little bit of confidence in crankbaits, and I hated them. I didn't understand them. I didn't know anything about them, and so I started reading everything I could about crankbaits. And I got a really good word of advice, and the word of advice was simple: get a square bill that looks like a bait fish. So I got like Sexy Shad or something like that. Go find some rock, like riprap along a bridge or on somewhere on a break wall or something like that, and go beat that square bill up against those rocks as much as you can. And every time you hit something, pause for a split second before you start reeling. Before you start reeling again. Do that and start getting bit, and you'll get more and more confidence in it. And that's what I did, man. I still remember exactly where I was, how the boat was positioned, and I was fishing out of a 14-foot John boat. I remember exactly where I caught that fish, and it was on Sugar Creek Bridge on Lake Oconee on the west side, and yeah, it was awesome. So let's see. Let me see. All right. You said don't put the wings on for the new. The wings are not designed to work in current. They'll actually push your rear end around. So when I'm fishing rivers, I take them off. Yeah, when I'm fishing lakes and stuff like that, I put them back on, and that's the biggest reason. It really does mess with your boat control when you have current pushing you from behind, or pushing you from anywhere really. So yeah, take them off. For a beginner on 6-foot light power throwing 1/16 quarter-ounce weight lures, would you use a braid to mono lure or something else? Let me think. I don't throw a lot of light power. That's some light stuff, dude. And really, if I'm throwing something a quarter-ounce, I'm gonna have a medium action rod. I'm not gonna have a light power rod or a light action rod. You can use a leader. That's okay. You know, I'll always use a braided main line on a spinning rod. But yeah, a leader will be just fine. Have you tried the Chapo over the Whopper Plopper? I have not. Um, what type of electronics do you use on your kayak and why? SIDI, etc. I use the Raymarine Element, and it is side scan, down imaging, mapping, the whole 9 yards. It's a 9-inch screen. It's a big screen. It kind of gets in the way sometimes, but it's worth it because it gives me all the information I need. Um, it is because I'm able to maintain 2 miles an hour paddling, or even with a Torqeedo at 3 or 5 miles an hour, I can cover a lot of water and I can find fish pretty fast. But I love down imaging. It's like, I don't know. It's like opening up the book and being actually or open up the lake and being able to see the fish and see exactly how they're positioned on certain cover and certain structure. I just love down imaging. Side imaging is great to find the cover, but down imaging is great to be able to pinpoint that there's actually fish in that cover. So, and that's why I love the boat, love it. So, trying fluoro for the first time. Any suggestions on what I should try and or stay away from? David, and I normally don't say go with the expensive stuff, but with fluorocarbon, go with the expensive stuff. Mainly because if it's your first time, the cheaper stuff, the really inexpensive stuff, it's got a lot of memory, and so it makes it a little bit, or even a lot more difficult to cast. Seaguar is great. Oh gosh, my mind just went blank. What's the other one that's really? It's the good stuff. Oh man, I can't remember. Anyway, spend a little money on it is what I would say, and expect it to be a little bit different, especially if you're going from knowing how to cast braid to fluorocarbon. It's a huge difference, but take your time, dude. So, let's see. As someone looking to get their first kayak, would a used Jackson Cuda 14 be a good start? David, actually, I'd say get in one and try it. A Cuda 14 is a narrow kayak. It's a fast kayak. It's really good for like open water, for ocean, for inshore fishing and stuff like that. You can still stand up in it, but you can't put a whole lot of weight on one side or the other. It's got its secondary stability is a little bit too far for me personally, but get out there and test ride it and see if you like it. I've got one that's in a trailer in my yard that I'm selling for $500. I'm selling it for my neighbor, but yeah, best thing to do is get out there and paddle it. So, let's see. Going on a trip to the Adirondacks. Any tips for the small deep lakes up there this time of the year? I don't know, man. I've never fished up in the Adirondacks. I love it up there though. It's beautiful this time of year. Dave Rodeo, you're the man. Love your channel. Really helped me getting back full steam into bass fishing. Cool, man. I appreciate it. David Malone, hey, love your videos. Thanks, man. I have a camp on the New River. Would love to have you and the Hoover down for some smallmouth fun. Just let us know when we're in that area. Just let us know. We'll see what we can do. I don't have plans to go that way this year. At least not yet. My schedule is so full between now and the end of September. I'm literally going to be gone for the next 3 weeks, so my wife's going to feel like she's single again. What is the magic secret to fluke fishing? Throw it. I mean, I caught, how many fish I catch yesterday in it with a fluke? 4 or 5? No, I caught about 8, I think. 8 fish with a fluke yesterday. Pop, pop, pause, man. And let it pause for a split second and pop, pop again. It all depends on their mood, really. So, thanks, David Malone. See, Steve Avery, anchoring kayak on offshore structure. Ever double anchor? Thoughts? Feel like I need more contact with the bottom lures. I will double anchor if I'm fishing lakes, and it's a technique that I use when I'm fishing for big bass, and I know I'm not going to move for a while. I'll double anchor, which is a great technique to keep you perfectly in the same spot, so you make the same exact cast. I carry 2 anchors in my truck, not in my boat. And depending on the weather that day is what anchor I bring. And it's usually a 10-pound kettlebell, and I also have an 8-pound downrigger ball that I'll use between the two. So it just depends. 23KC, what up, OG? What's up, man? Let's see. Joshua Cooper, hey Gene, I need some advice. Uh-oh, he's gonna talk about his wife. My wife hates it when I go fishing. What do you tell your wife when you go to sneak out and get on the lake for the day? I'm a little different, Joshua. I tell my wife I'm going to work because that's where I'm going. Back when I wasn't making any money on YouTube, when I was spending more money on fishing than I was making, she was never happy with me going fishing. And so the biggest thing is always make sure that my chores were done, or my honey-do list was done as much as I can. Be super nice to her, and ask her if you can go fishing, or tell her that you're going to go fishing, and tell her exactly when you're going to be back, and be back on time. And the more you do that, the more she's willing to let you go. But just don't stay all day long. It takes a little bit. You got to go a little bit at a time. I've been married almost 20 years. And so, but now it's different. Now it's my wife asks me, are you going fishing today? And I usually go. So it's pretty cool. I remember the first time she said, are you going fishing? And I almost fell down. What's your favorite fluke, and when should you fish with one? I usually fish with one when bass are real shallow and they're chasing bait, and I'll try it. It doesn't work all the time. My favorite one is the Zoom Fluke, and my favorite color is white ice. But I've really gotten into throwing the caffeine shad from Strike King recently. It's just got a lot of salt in it, so it casts a mile. Only problem is it's not very durable. It doesn't last very long, not as long as I'm used to with a fluke, but I catch fish on it. So it sinks a little faster, so I can keep it down and work it. Excuse me, and work it faster. So when you go out fishing in the summer, should you call it quits after lunchtime until later in the evening? If I'm uncomfortable fishing, yes, I do. I call it quits and I go back out. I'll go sit in my truck and get some work done or whatever. But if I'm fishing grass, it's harder for me to get away from it, because as it gets hot in the sun, those bass will tuck into the thickest grass, or they'll tuck up underneath docks, and I want to try to catch them under there. And they're catchable. They're just not typically easy to catch. So Jerry Duncan says he wore him out today on it. It's probably talking about a fluke. Let's see. Secret of finding schooling bass on Big G this time of year, other than running around like your boat's on fire. Let me tell you what I found on Gunnersville, Michael, because I don't mind telling people what I'm doing, because I'm going to be there this next week doing the same thing. Go fish in the mouth of the creeks. Fish the grass in the mouth of the creeks and just keep your eyes open and you'll see them schooling. The only problem is all the schooling fish are small. And so there's also schooling fish around the bridge pilings up on the north end. But they're also small. So what I've been doing is catching them on swim jigs and Texas rig worms in the grass in 7 to 10 feet of water is what I've been doing. But it's been slow, methodical, one fish here and there. Like I said, I caught one fish on Tuesday, one fish on Wednesday until the evening, and then Thursday I caught them until I left. So it took me a few days to figure them out. Matthew Boland says, hey, bud, I fished at SS-127 with Torqeedo. Should I put the wings on it? Yes. Only fish lakes. Yes. Put the wings on it. You'll love it. It'll slow you down just a hair, but you'll love how well it tracks. And trust me, they're good. I need to put the new ones on. I've still got the prototypes that are real flimsy. I'm going to put the stiffer ones on whenever I think about it. They're sitting right here on my desk. Steve Story says, you are the best fishing YouTube channel out there. Thanks for all the great info. I appreciate it, man. I don't think I am. I think Tactical Bassing's the best one out there. I've known Matt Allen since Bass Resource days, 2004, 2005. And when I started YouTube and it started growing, I said, man, if Matt Allen ever starts making videos, he's going to crush it. And he did. I mean, he's a California guy. He fishes different than everybody else. I'm learning a lot from watching his videos. But yeah, I'll always give him a shout out. I'm proud of him. So, Wolf Fancy, have you ever fished in Indiana? I really never see anybody fish here. I have, but it was many, 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 many years ago. I was actually deer hunting, and somebody took me down, and we tried fishing, and it sucked. I just want to say thanks for all the great instruction. I no longer hate weed choked areas, Steve. That's awesome, man. It's funny once you learn little techniques to fish certain situations, how much more fun it can be. It's just fun. Let's see, I do a lot of worm fishing. What is a good sized rod? My favorite rod for worm fishing is a 7'3" medium heavy rod. It is my kind of light wire jig rod, but I also love it for Texas rig. I have two different of the 13 models. I have the Muse Black, which is their $180 rod, and I have their Fate Black, which is that green one. And I love both of them. So that's exactly what I'd be using. So, let's see. Aaron 24, what's going on, man? I've been fishing a friend's pond that has a ton of wipers. Oh, wipers. We call them hybrid bass, but can never seem to get them to bite. My brother nails them on top water, but I don't have the patience. Any thoughts? I'm going to tell you what you do, man. When he's killing them on top water, get yourself a little lead-headed white grub or a smoke grub from Zoom. They're called Fat Albert grubs. Put it on a little lead head, jig head, and just throw it through the middle of them and slow roll it. Dude, I'm serious. Make sure when you hook it with the tail down. When it's sitting upright, the tail's down, and it'll give you a lot of really low action. Serious, man. I've caught hundreds of them in a day just doing that. I went through 5 bags of grubs and had blood all over my boat one day. I caught them 8 hours straight every other cast, and I'm not lying. So, and the other thing is you'll find that you'll catch more fish than him because you only have one hook to take out, and he's got to deal with all those treble hooks. So, I know bass go shallow when it's low visibility, but will they also go deep? I have not witnessed that. I don't think they go deep. I think they either go searching for the clearest water, like down in Florida when Okeechobee gets really, really muddy. They'll get as tight as they can in the buggy whips and stuff because the buggy whips tend to hold cleaner water. So they're going to go searching for cleaner water, or they're going to go really shallow. So, all right. Hey Flute, what is the best rig to fish a pond filled with grass and the fish is on the grass? A Mojo rig or a split shot rig are my favorite ones to do that with this time of the year. I got a video on the Mojo rig, and instead of using the little weight that I use that it's really hard to find, I actually make my own. Just pinch a split shot on there. Same thing. What's your advice on fishing lakes that are overfished? You got 2 options. Go small. Actually, 3 options. Go small, go slow, super, super slow, or both is what I would do. Slow and small. How do you feel about the Biospawn Exo Swim, and how would you fish them? Thanks. It's another paddle tail swim bait. It's got a lot of body action, so I would fish it. You got swim baits that have a lot of tail action. You have swim baits that have a lot of body action, and I just fish it like I would any other paddle tail. I'd put it on like a swim jig, or I would just put it on a jig head and fish it. So they're pretty good, man. The ones that I got when they were prototypes were really good. Hey Gene, is it okay to smoke weed on the lake? Something about that Bama Screet weed that gives my Cincos a little more action than sober. That's crazy, man. I've never smoked weed, so I don't know, dude. I don't know. To each their own. I just know it's illegal in Alabama. Just purchased my first bait caster. Can't wait for it to get here. Cool, man. That's awesome, Jordan. Go watch my videos. I got one of these days I'm gonna finish like my 100th how to cast a bait caster video because they get so much play. No, I'm just kidding. Speaking about YouTube fishing community, are there any collabs that you're working on for future videos? Alex Rudd just bought my old boat. I'll always collab with him. Chad Hoover I always collab with. Kicking Their Bass TV. I got a spider coming down off my ceiling fan. Anyway, Noah Pescatelli, him and I are going to get together and do some stuff. He's really doing really good right now with his YouTube stuff. And then my bucket list is tactical bassing. So definitely got to get out to Cali. Let's see. Is Swimbaits good for grass lakes? Those hollow bellies that you can put a weedless hook in, yes, they'll work for grass lakes. Man, I haven't fished a hollow belly in years. I didn't even realize that. I got like 5 or 6 packs of them in my barn that probably have to dust off. What is your favorite power rod for moving baits like chatterbaits, crankbaits? It's actually called the Chatter Crank rod from 13, and it's a medium heavy moderate action rod, 7'4", medium heavy moderate, and it was specifically made for chatterbaits and spinnerbaits and larger square bills. And it's called the Chatter Crank rod. So that is my favorite. And if anybody's been watching my videos over the last year, because I've had it for almost a year, you'll know I love that rod. Let's see. Hey Fluke, another question. What is the best way to fish a chatterbait? In the grass. Bump it into everything you can, or if there's not a lot of grass, fish it as low and close to the bottom as you can get are the 2 ways that I do it. Chatterbait is really good in the grass because that blade will kick it up over top of the grass and you can work it through the grass pretty easy. So, have you fished a Chupa by Berkeley or Choppa by Berkeley? I have not. Tactical bass needs to happen ASAP. Dude, I saw him at ICAST, but we were both so busy we didn't get a chance to sit down and talk. But I finally got to meet Matt Allen face to face. Like I said, I've known him for years, but I finally got to meet him, which was great. He looked great, man. Have I ever fished Santee Cooper? I have. That's actually where my old Triton aluminum boat broke. Was on Santee. I barely made it back to the boat ramp, and then drained it. So it had a 36-inch crack down the keel, and almost sunk it. And I didn't hit anything. It just broke. Let's see. Ever fished a sluggo? Man, that's an old school bait right there. I fished a sluggo before there were Cincos, and I wacky rigged a sluggo before there was Cincos. So yeah, the sluggo is an awesome bait. It's not a Hobie, but it's definitely not an Ascend. I don't know what you're talking about, Casey, but that's cool. What's your favorite snack for a long day on the water? I need something besides jerky. The jaw pump is no joke. You may not like what I have in my boat for eating. A lot of people don't. I usually keep sardines in hot sauce or in mustard sauce. Is usually what I eat. And you can ask a lot of people. I keep them in my kayak, and I've got 5 or 6 cans of it in my truck. I just have always kept sardines as a survival food because I'm not one to pack food. I forget. And so get hungry on the water, and I'll have some Vienna sausages too, but I like the chicken ones. I don't like the beef ones. So yes, sardines, believe it or not. See, Jason C. Speaking of baitcaster videos, is there any way you can do a slow motion video of the overhead cast? I can sidearm pretty well, but my overhead just goes straight up or straight down. I completely understand. That's why I don't throw an overhand that often. And I'm going to give you the trick. You normally will have, 10 to 15 inches of line out of the end of your rod on a sidearm cast, and that works just fine. On an overhand cast, bring about 20 to 24 inches out, and then your release point is what you got to focus on. If you're hitting the surface, you released it too late. If you're throwing it straight up in the air, you're releasing it too early, and you just got to work on that release point is the biggest thing. But a longer amount of line out of the end of your rod, and just work on that release point. And it's also kind of think of it as a slow motion action or kind of a smooth action. I hate overhead casting with a bait caster, but I'll do it if I have to. So, James, I was about to read that question. I already knew what you're talking about. I read a part of it and it disappeared. You took it away. What's your favorite spinning rod? My Mojo Bass just broke. Oh man, that's a good spinning rod too. They are trying to upgrade me to an Avid. What is your opinion? You know what? I have never heard anything bad about those rods. I really haven't. St. Croix makes some great rods. And so my favorite one right now is the Muse, the new Muse rod, and I have a couple of them. But I love the handle on them and the grip on them, and they're just good rods. But yeah, dude, I've never heard anything bad about a St. Croix. If they're trying to upgrade you, do it, dude. Won't hurt your feelings. My friend has a small pond by his house. It holds decent bass. I tried everything, and they're not biting any tips. Fish small worms. Go with a little shaky head or a little light shaky head, like a 16th ounce or an 8th ounce shaky head. Little natural colored worm. What's your thoughts on techniques for extra fishing? What's your thoughts on techniques for extra fast action rods? Okay, so extra fast rods. The difference between extra fast rod and a fast rod is literally 1 inch more of bend on the fast rod. That's it. It bends. That tip will bend 1 inch further down the rod than the other one. So there's not that much difference. And so an extra fast just means that it pops a little bit faster. It stops. When you whip it. It stops wiggling faster. That's all it means. So it's got a little bit less whip to it. So I'm gonna fish, depending on the rod, I'm gonna fish something that's just it'll handle a little bit heavier baits. Is all it is. It's kind of crazy. Don't overthink that. Really don't. So. Is the bite with a fluke visual or feel? It depends on how shallow you're fishing it. I have trouble knowing when I have a fish. Thanks for all you do for beginners. It's one of those things that as soon as you feel anything different than you're used to feeling, you set the hook. I mean anything. If it feels like a worm farted on your lure, you need to set the hook. A fluke is odd. It's just one of those things. You just sometimes you don't feel anything. You're like, oh, I don't feel it. Boom, set the hook, and the fish is coming at you. That's the hardest thing about flukes is just knowing that you just need to set the hook every time you feel something weird. Have you ever used one of your sardines for bait as last resort? No, I eat them. Oh, goodness. Thoughts on Brian Latimer joining the Bonafide family? Man, I love it. That dude is so awesome. He has always been, since I've met him, one of my favorite people. So, yeah, and he's right there in Greenville. I mean, he's just literally just outside of town. But yeah, I talked to him a little bit before all that went down. But yeah, it's pretty cool, man. He'll love it. He's one of those. He's as backwoods as they get. He'll drag that thing through the woods. He'll drag it through rocks. He don't care. He's just gonna go find some crazy places to fish and go fishing, and bring his cute little son with him. So, ever fished Douglas Lake, Tennessee? I have not. What would you recommend for a budget-friendly fish finder for kayak fishing? I'm gonna tell you the same thing I tell everybody every time I get a question about this. One is make sure it has down imaging, a GPS, and regular sonar. Okay, those are the 3 that I recommend as a basic. And then because down imaging will help you pinpoint the fish and help you learn the regular fish finder easier. And then mapping will help you get to your spot and find a good spot and everything else. Mapping is everything to me, and you'll find out as I start doing fish finder videos how important mapping is to me. And then get the biggest screen that you can afford, because the bigger the screen, the more information you're going to get from those images. That's how you do it. And so that's why I have a 9-inch or a 7. I think I have a 7-inch screen on my kayak, and I have 2 9s and a 12 on my big boat, so I can get as much information as I can. So, $2 for worm parts. Dan T, thanks, man. Thanks, Casey. I appreciate you, man. Thanks for the $2. Y'all are funny. I bank fish a pond for the maximum depth of 16 feet with a braid to fluoro leader. How long should my leader be? No shorter. I don't know what the visibility is, but kind of my rule of thumb, when it gets down to about 3 foot long, I retie. I start about 6 feet. I usually start the same length as the rod, or close to the same length as a rod. I don't break out a tape measure or anything else. I'm like, okay, that looks about right, and I go with it that way. So, let's see. Casey says, I made a pretty good amount of money as a tournament angler. I consider myself pretty knowledgeable, but I still learn more from you. Thanks again Sir, you cater to beginners all the way to pros. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I really do. Tournament fishing was fun for me. It was, but you know, hanging out at the boat ramps or just spending time at the boat ramps at Gunnersville this week, and I hate to mention this, but it just kind of hit me hard. I know why I got away from tournament fishing or big boat fishing. Them dudes are not nice. I couldn't get anybody to strike up a conversation. I didn't want to know how they were fishing. It was so funny. I'd be like, "Hey man, how's it going? How's your day?" He's like, and he'd keep on walking. I'm like, "Really? Really?" You know, it's just, it's a whole different world in it. And getting outside of it, getting into the kayak world and seeing how everybody's friends and everybody take care of each other, and then going back and seeing these boat guys, and I know it's not all of them, but seeing these boat guys at the ramp who just, they must live a miserable life. I'm just unbelievable. Anyway, do you recommend shorter leaders when kayak fishing because you're closer to the water? I don't really think about it that much, really. Only time I ever throw a real short leader is when I'm dock fishing in clear water. Because if I catch a fish, if it's like a post dock, and I want to wear that fish out using the braid up against the posts instead of breaking the fluorocarbon, I'll let them swim out. And I'll let them fight and fight and fight, and then I'll slowly bring them back around the post as they wear out. Mitchell Lewis Coleman. Hey, Gene, how do you recommend fishing a fast current river? Willamette in Oregon. Mitchell, I've actually fished the Willamette River in Oregon. Man, I caught steelhead and... Did I catch a salmon in Willamette? I can't remember, but I know I caught steelhead and bass. For bass, you want to find that slack current. The eddies and stuff like that behind the rocks. Man, it was 94 when I fished the Willamette. But yeah, look for that slack water, look for the eddies, and they'll be hanging out in those eddies. That was before I knew how to fish. Joni, I'm going to give a shout out to Joni. If you guys are ever in Dayton, Tennessee on Chickamauga Lake, Joni owns and operates the Chinese restaurant in Dayton, Tennessee. I love to eat there. It's actually a really good Chinese restaurant, and the man can cook. So tell him Fluke sent you. But anyway, what's up, Gene? If you can fish the same lake 5 days a week, will you find a new spot to fish every day or fish from safe spots? Having a hard time staying on fish. Joe, I'm going to tell you, if I'm filming, once I find a school of fish, I'm going to milk that school of fish for as long as I can. But if I've got 5 days, I usually try to find 6 or 7 different places. I'll spend like the first part of the morning, especially this time of the year, fishing my spots where I know there's fish. And then as it gets worse, you know, the bite slows, I'll go look for something else. Right now, though, Joe, the reason it's so tough on Chickamauga and Gunnersville and anywhere along the Tennessee River is they've stopped pulling a lot of current. So if you want to go catch a bunch of fish, go find some current. But it's just, they haven't had any rain, so there's just no reason for them to drain the river. So, let's see, when am I going to fish with a subscriber? Let me get my instructional videos rolling again, dude. And then I'll consider doing vlogs and that kind of stuff. But man, I feel bad. I feel really, really bad for not doing instructional videos. So that's really what I'm focused on. And I guess I've got a little bit of OCD because of it. You're right, 100%. It's a totally different world. Yeah, Casey, it is, isn't it, man? What is the best jig to fish for bass? I don't know. I don't think there's a magic bullet jig. It really isn't. I have 3 different colors that I fish: a green pumpkin, a brown, and a black. And the green pumpkin might have a little bit of orange in it and that kind of stuff. And I just throw them. I drag a lot of jigs. It's more has to do with how you fish it than what the best jig is. I know you use the FG knot, but have you seen or tried the Shaw Graceby knot for a fluoro leader? I have. It's just a little bulky. The FG knot is so skinny you barely hear it go through the guides. And when I hear a knot go through the guides, it means that the guides are beating the knot up. And so the less noise you get, the better. What's your new favorite 13 fishing lure? Man, that's a tough question. I'm still in the process of putting all of them through the paces. I'm really excited about the frog, really. The frog is, I haven't caught anything on it, but the bite on Gunnersville when I was there, last week, the frog bite was great. This week it sucked. And so, but I'm kind of excited about it. When I go up to Minnesota, I'm going to take every frog I own and try to lose every one of them to pike. But I'm going to have fun doing it. How do you fish over witch's hair grass? The grass is called filamentous algae, and I call it I call it what do I call it? Anyway, it's really fine hair. I know what you're talking about. Typically, what I would do, Stony, and thanks for all your comments on my videos. I actually have been reading them. You type more than anybody I've ever seen, and it's awesome. But anyway, what I would do is go watch my video called Mojo Fishing, or how to fish the Mojo rig. The Mojo rig is one of those rigs that comes through grass really, really easy. And then you can find those little cylinder weights. They're hard, but you can find them online. If I ever start making enough money to start my own lure company, that'll be one of the first things I make, because nobody makes them. Makes the ones that I use, because I mold them myself. But fish that sucker, man. It's one of the best things to fish through that type of grass. So, whew. David Sink says, I just requested a brochure from Alumacraft. Looks like a few Marines around Raleigh carry them. Oh, that's good. Trying to stay under 30,000. Accessories add up fast. Thanks for all the videos. Keep them coming. Yeah, they do. What I would do typically is I would start low. In other words, I wouldn't get all of the nuts, bells, and whistles, but get the basics. Get a good motor. And I really am liking that Evinrude, by the way. I'm not gonna say it's the best thing in the world yet, but I'm liking it so far. Get a good motor, get decent electronics, and then work your way up. That boat's gonna last you for years and years if you take care of it, and get a cover for it. Even if you put it in your garage, you're still gonna want to get a cover for it. So, what happened to my Anglr Bullseye? I left my hat in my truck. This is actually a hat that was up in my. It doesn't fit me. I hate this hat. But the bullseye's in my truck. I've been fishing all week. So it's my backup hat. I don't like it. Adrian Warfield says, just did my first kayak tournament last Friday. The one night stand. Now I'm in the month-long state tournament. Any tips? Just go fishing, dude, and just keep track of what you catch. That's what I would do. Just have fun with it. Learn. I use these first tournaments to make all the mistakes. To let a fish flop in the water while you're trying to measure it. To forget to do stuff and just make all the mistakes and don't get so mad about them, because this is when you learn. It took me 2 hours to calm my son down when he let a fish flop in the water once. So this is how you learn how to do it. Let's see. I fish small ponds all around me, fishing every technique and lure and color, and I can and cannot ditch the skunk. Any ideas? I really would have to see your lake, but you might be fishing too fast. Slow way, 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 way down. Way down. So, Matty Ice, Zypher or New Era hat? I think this one's a New Era. This is a top of the world. I'm a Zypher guy. Zypher hats fit me perfectly. And from what I understand, they have stopped making Georgia Bulldog hats this year, so I may be in trouble. So, let's see. Adrian, my first tournament, I dropped my phone in the water. Oh no. Yeah, get a phone tether, man. Get a phone. Night Eyes, the company Night Eyes makes a really good phone tether. I'm not sponsored by them, but yeah, that's. What lures would you use with Iser line? Anything. Really, it's a good topwater line. I know it's a copolymer, and it does sink, but it sinks so slowly, you can get away with fishing topwater with it. So, yeah, it's a good all-around line. My fondest experience with Iser line was I hooked a 10-pounder, not 10-pounder, stupid. I hooked a 5-pounder in Lake Fork in Texas over a tree, and it was sitting there hanging on the tree flopping, and over a stump, and I had to go all the way around this stump field and come around and get it off of it, and I barely had an abrasion on that line. It's such a good line. For a copolymer, it's awesome. They don't make very good fluorocarbon, but their copolymer line is excellent. What's the best way to haul 2 fishing kayaks with no trailer and good roof racks? On their side in the back of your truck is what I would do. How many of those hats have you gone through? Dude, Dylan, I wonder how much my first hats are worth. That'd be interesting to find out what I could auction them off for. But anyway, I get between 4 and 6 new ones a year. The Zypher ones, the other reason I like them is that they don't fade as quickly. And so I can go through 3 or 4 a year and they'll be just fine. But I bet you I've gone through 30 hats. I keep them all. My wife drives my wife nuts, but they're in a box in my closet. So, what's my favorite 13 fishing frog rod? Is the 6'5" Muse Black that they don't make anymore, evidently. The second one is the new frog rod, the new Fate Black frog rod that just came out. It's a long one though. It's a good matte frog rod. I'm a short rod guy. So, what's my preferred Navionics app? I didn't know Navionics had more than one. I use their web app, and I've had their app on them. I've actually had to call them and fuss at them. They tried to get me to pay for their app again, and I'd already paid for it once, and it was $50 a long time ago. So, but yeah, I only use one. It's whatever they call it, the one that goes on your phone. I started leaving them hooked until after I was able to take the pictures, risking a hook to the fingers, but sometimes it was worth it. Yeah, it can be. Sometimes they won't count them that way though, if it's like Tourney X, but they might. I don't know. I've never tried it. So, can you throw braid with a bait caster? Fine, but not floral or mono tips. Oh, I can throw braid with a bait caster, not mono. Yes, my tip is never learn how to throw a bait caster with braid. Not the first, not to start with. It's like learning how to cast it all over again with mono and fluoro. I say that in a couple of my videos on how to cast a bait caster. Start out with mono and fluoro. So basically go back and learn all over again because braided line is so different. And yeah, that's my biggest advice is get out in the yard and start all over. So, what are your thoughts on John boat fishing? I fish tournaments with a partner, but I need a boat of my own. I'll tell you a story. This is me tooting my own horn, but I used to fish Wednesday night pot tournaments on Lake Oconee. I had a 14-foot John boat with an 8-horse tiller on it and a trolling motor up front, and I put a front deck on it with a pedestal seat, and I never finished less than 10th. That's when I knew I was pretty good at fishing. I was like, man, I'm doing pretty good. But it's the people I was fishing against. There were a few tournaments where I had FLW pros fishing against me. I had just local sticks, and I would literally just drop my trolling motor and start fishing, and gained a lot of confidence. It doesn't matter, dude. My buddy Shay Baker won a pot tournament, a big boat pot tournament out of a Bonafide that he borrowed from my manager Scott Butcher. He won like $300, and he rigged a cooler in the back of the Bonafide as a live well, and he kept all fish in that cooler. And dude, I mean, it's just, I don't know, just don't be intimidated is the biggest thing. Go fishing and have fun and learn. You don't need a big one. And, you know, my John boat I had a cooler that I turned into a live well. The biggest thing I would say if you do that, if you make a cooler into a live well, is wrap the outside edges with saran wrap before you shut the lid. And the reason is though the fish, when you open up the lid, the fish don't jump out. It'll hit the saran wrap and fall back down, and just leave a little slit down the center to be able to drop your fish into. So, all right, guys, it's been an hour. I'm gonna take one more question, and then I'm gonna go spend some time with my family. And I'm actually gonna spend all night organizing my tackle. I got a whole bunch of new Plano boxes I gotta fill. I gotta reorganize all my tackle for my boat, and I'm not gonna do it in the heat of the day. So, let's see. Let me look for a second. Stony Lonesome, good question. Do you think if I get a Georgia Bulldog hat, I might catch some fish? Dude, man, just go fishing, really. I can teach you everything in the planet and everything that I know and everything, you know, about bass fishing, but the best teacher are those little green fish in the water. Just go fishing, dude, and just keep track. Use the Anglr app to keep track of your catches, and you'll, you know, anything that'll help you keep track and to get better and better as you get on the water. So, Oh, goodness. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And everybody who donated tonight, I really appreciate that. Go to Noe Outdoors on Facebook, NOE Outdoors on their Facebook page. Like their page, and then just somewhere in there, just put Flukemastr on their first post that's sitting right there. Flukemastr sent me or whatever, and then they're going to go through this weekend and randomly pick somebody to win 2 VIP tickets to the Noe Outdoors Expo in Cartersville on the 20th and 21st and 22nd, I think, of September. Yep, of September in Cartersville, Georgia. So, and I'm going to be there on Sunday, whichever day that is. I want to say it's the 21st. But and I'm giving seminars all week. So you guys are awesome. Thanks for joining me. I am going to go spend some time with my family. We'll see ya.